Sometimes, Yu-Gi-Oh! Straight up references real life on their cards, so there's gotta be some Christmas references in there, right? Well, in honor of the holiday season, we're going to find the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards that represent Christmas or the overall winter season the best, either by them directly mentioning it, or us just stretching the implication of some cards. All we need is snow, and usually we can relate it. So we're giving y'all the gift of Yu-Gi-Oh! Card information for the holidays. Also, the gift of my co-host, Judgment Meter.
Can you imagine just a little batch of Judgment memers as little teeny elves, just making you videos? Except I don't really make the videos, it's really just MrTopTenList. But I like to think that I help.
You do help.
Aww. I'm Judgment Meter.
Now, let's jingle the top 10 Yu-Gi-Oh! Christmas cards. Number 10, Blizzard. Strange weather is a common occurrence in Yu-Gi-Oh! They see a lot of tornado-related activity, but when it comes to snowy weather, they like to pull out the Blizzard every so often. And if there's any weather condition I associate the most with the holiday season, it's when the weather outside is frightful with a blizzard. There's actually two cards named Blizzard in Japanese. The first one is an old card called Driving Snow in English, or Mofubuki in Japanese, which translates to blizzard. It's got the bad effect you'd expect from an old card. If your opponent specifically destroys one of your trap cards, you can activate Driving Snow and destroy a spell or trap on the field, so I guess Mystical Space Typhoon counter? While the effect isn't good, the artwork is somewhat iconic to me since I remember getting a lot of these in booster packs back in the day, and as an adult, I sympathize more with the man on the artwork who's trying his best, but I fear for him.
Is that man being buried alive in the snow? I thought this was supposed to be a happy list.
The other cards will be happy.
I hate this. Why? This is a bad entry. This is sad.
It's just showing what the snow does.
Kill you?
He's not dead.
I'm sad for him. His family won't see him because he'll be buried in the snow.
Years later in 2020, they released a sequel to this irrelevant card, named Blizzard in English, which is also just the English word blizzard written out in katakana for the Japanese name, so they basically didn't change the name. The effect targets one of your opponent's face-up spell cards, negates the effect and any other cards with that name for the rest of the turn, and if the targeted card is supposed to go to the graveyard, it goes back to the opponent's hand instead. Since Blizzard is a quick play spell, this works on normal spells and other quick play spells too, and will ultimately bounce them back to the hand, preventing them from being used again for the turn. Well thought out effect, not the worst, but other back row removal is technically better. However, the artwork is more interesting, where if you look at the eye of the Blizzard, you see the same guy from Driving Snow is still trying to make it through the storm nearly 20 years later. On one hand, I'm happy they remembered him, but on the other hand, help him, don't just look, call Snowplow Hustle Russell. Look at this thing, it's just absorbing the snow, honorary card for the holidays. And if you're wondering about all those Blizzard-themed monsters that might be relevant for this list, then you should take a look at number 9, Blizzard Princess. Blizzard Princess is probably the most notable of the Blizzard monsters, being a signature monster of Alexis/Asuka in the manga. Not too much of a blizzard going on in the art, but she has an ice rod with a giant ice ball on a chain, which is a weapon I want to see in motion more. She could have just used a normal ice rod that fires an ice ball, but nope, she wanted something that gives the arms more of a workout.
She must be very strong. Who's she gonna hit with it?
The blizzard part of her persona is in her effect. When she's tribute summoned, your opponent cannot activate spells or traps for the turn, a fine effect for older decks if you want to avoid trap holes or battle traps. However, the blizzard part comes into play when you realize this effect is similar to the spell Cold Wave, which prevents either player from activating or setting spells and traps until the next turn of the player who activated it. Her effect implies that she's producing a cold wave on a much more minor scale, where it only lasts part of the turn and just for the opponent, so perhaps the Blizzard Princess is responsible for all those frozen dinosaurs. As you may notice, a lot of these blizzard effects involve stopping your opponent from activating spells and traps, essentially freezing them, which is an interesting running theme. As for the other blizzard monsters, they're not really good or notable, but hey, they fit the theme of the list, so we can cover them quickly for posterity. The only other notable one might be Blizzard Falcon, who was used by Rio in the anime, which inflicts 1500 points of damage if you manage to raise its attack attack above its defense, so find one of those various water boosting decks and maybe it can work. Blizzard Thunderbird supports it, which lets you discard a card to summon one water winged beast monster from your hand and graveyard. Oh gee, I wonder what monster has that exact type combo. Then there's Blizzard Warrior, who lets you look at the top card of your opponent's deck if it destroys something in battle, so not that good. Blizzard Dragon can freeze a monster by preventing it from changing its battle position or attacking, but it can still activate its effects, so not good. And then there's Glacial Beast Blizzard Wolf, whose effect is long and not good. There's also monsters with Blizzard in their name for the Blackwing and Wind Witch archetype, which are good in their respective archetypes, so they might be the best of the Blizzard monsters despite not being actual Blizzard monsters. Also, shoutouts to Blizzard Lizard, who is just in the anime and Duel Links. So, moral of the story, if a monster has Blizzard in its name and it's not part of a greater archetype, it's probably not good unless it's a princess. Number 8. Gingerbread House. It's always fun to build a gingerbread house around the holidays, so here it is, pre-built for you. Maybe they used one of those gingerbread house kits, but overall, nice craftsmanship. You got the candy canes over here, and then the less seasonal items over there.
This house has soft serve and cotton candy and lips for kissing?
They do more than just kiss.
Is there an earth on the back?
I don't actually know what that is.
I feel like this could be in Katamari.
Since this card was used by the fairy tale guy in the anime, it's more supposed to be the witch's house from Hansel and Gretel, backed up by the effect boosting your opponent's monster's attack by 600 once per turn because it's implied they're eating the house, and then if their attack reaches 2500 or more after that, they get destroyed and you gain life points because the witch cooks them or something like that. Even though the reference isn't specifically Christmas related, I can't ignore those candy canes. Those are some of my favorite treats around the holidays, and they're blue, so they must be one of the specialty flavors, like the Airheads ones. You ever have those? Pretty good. Number 7. Snowman Eater. The snowman is a famous symbol of winter who pops up in a bunch of snowy songs at the end of the year, like Frosty the Snowman, or that one snowman from Winter Wonderland where they pretend it's Parson Brown, who I used to think was an obscure celebrity from the 1930s, but it turns out he's just a fictional guy in the song. So Snowman Eater is the perfect card for the holiday season. With it snowing out, you have this inconspicuous snowman who someone built at the end of a cliff during a snowstorm. Don't worry about how he got here or who built him, just go and appreciate him and nothing bad will happen.
Snowman Eater? No. What? It's a snowman that eats other snowman? Or it's a snowman who eats anything and anybody? He kind of looks happy. I like that about him. But he also looks terrifying. He either has a bucket on his head or a fez.
Yeah, but look under him. I'm not sure if he's actually a snowman.
Oh my goodness. Is that part of him or is that something he ate / consumed?
I think he's supposed to be a separate demon who uses the snowman as a disguise for his unsuspecting prey, though I don't know what's up with the teeth on the snowman's head. Maybe he's working with another creature, or just has an abnormally shaped body.
I'm not so scared of him anymore. Actually, I kind of like him. Before I really didn't, but now I'm... He's just sitting on a dude. He's like a dog, like a really big dog who just like is so big he just sits on anything because he doesn't realize how big he is, and I find that charming. He's like the Pikachu Miyuki. Is that the
Mimikyu?
Yeah, that one.
The idea behind him being a creature hiding as a friendly snowman is in his effect. When he's flipped face up, you target and destroy one monster on the field. It's an improved man-eater bug. It's got stronger defense, so it could potentially survive an attack, and it's not classified as a flip monster, so the anti-flip effect cards don't affect it when it's flipped face up. Though no one plays those anymore, and some modern flip support is kinda broken, so it's almost come full circle where it would have been easier to get him out now if he was an official flip monster. Anyway, the point is, flipping him up to destroy a monster is the creature jumping out from under the snowman to eat you. Also, the effect is mandatory, so if he's flipped up when no other monsters are on the field, he has to eat himself. The snowman also has a bit of lore on other cards unrelated to his effect. On the card Snowman Creator, we see that these snowmen are mass-produced, opening up a lot of questions about who's funding this and why they're putting them on random cliffs. Are these creatures more technologically advanced than I expected?
Oh my goodness, his light is the fez thing. I love it. It looks like the penguin slide from Card Captors.
The other card they're on is Snowman Effect, where we see the mass production was poorly planned and now they're rolling down the hill as a giant snowball.
Oh my goodness, you can see the butt of the snowman. It's funny. His ass is out.
The effect references the artwork, where one monster gets the combined attack of all monsters you control, though if the image was accurate to the stats of Snowman Eater, the combined attack of 0 about a dozen times is still 0. Number 6. All the Ice Counter monsters. Ice counters are one of the many forgotten sub-mechanics of Yu-Gi-Oh! It's just one of the effects involving the dozens of different counters in the game. The originator was Cold Enchanter, once again used by Alexis/Asuka in the manga. It just lets you put ice counters on any face-up monsters on the field if you discard a card, and it gains 300 attack points per counter. You could put them on your monsters or your opponents. I'm somewhat mixed on how to view this effect. It's kinda slow, but because it's an old card, it's not once per turn, so theoretically, you could discard your whole hand to gain around 900 to 1200 attack points usually, which makes him a big ol' beat stick, but you have to be careful who you put the counters on, since if you put them on your opponent's monsters, destroying them decreases the boost. Generally, you'll want to just put them on him. Next, he has an upgraded form, Ice Master, who can special summon himself by tributing to water monsters, and has the same effect to add ice counters to the opponent's monsters once per turn. However, he can destroy all monsters with ice counters on them, so at worst, you're tributing him to destroy at least one monster on the field, which is a serviceable effect. That being said, if you took my advice to use Cold Enchanter's effect to put ice counters on himself for the boost, whoops, he's getting blown up too. I guess there's the benefits of putting them on your opponent's monsters with his effect. When this seemed like a one-and-done mechanic, they brought it back with the 2012 set Abyss Rising, introducing the Snow Monsters. You had Snow Dragon, who's just a little guy, and when he's destroyed, you can place an ice counter on every monster on the field.
He also has udders.
No, that's just the snow from the background blowing forward like, wait, it does look like it has udders. Now take a look at his evolved form, Snow Dust Dragon. He special summons himself by removing 4 ice counters anywhere on the field, and when he's live, he prevents any monsters with ice counters on them from changing battle positions. Also, more importantly, they can't attack. Though, with how often your own monsters tend to get ice counters put on them with these effects, make sure to remove those counters from your own monsters before summoning the dragon, or else they also won't be able to attack. The other major boss is Snowdust Giant, who's a Yeti of sorts, that lets you put ice counters on the field equal to the number of water monsters in your hand, and then non-water monsters lose 200 attack and defense per counter on the field. Also, does it look like he's kinda singing? I feel like that's a Figaro face. I like the concept behind how the ice counters were used with these boss monsters. It's as if you're making the field cold with the counters, causing your opponent's monsters to shiver and be unable to move or fight at full strength. The final ice counter monster of this set is our old friend Snowman Creator, who puts counters on your opponent's monsters equal to the number of water monsters you control, and if you put at least 3 counters on one monster, you can destroy it, similar to how Snowman Eater destroys when flipped. I also like how this card says you can create ice counters, which is terminology you don't see on many cards. Fits with the theme of how this thing is creating snowmen. After this batch, ice counters were pushed aside for good, though I like how the new snow monsters had nothing to do with the original ice monsters, but they used their counters since Konami did not want to make a different snow-based counter for them. The snow monsters did distribute counters faster, so there was a bit of synergy between them, but ultimately their effects worked against each other, so at the end of the day, the ice counters were simply a thing that existed. Number 5. Ghost Trick Jack Frost. Jack Frost is the personification of winter, usually usually a neutral party with no set look. He can still be a good guy, he can still be antagonistic. He just wants to nip at your nose and other body parts with the sensation of winter. Here, he's a part of the ghost trick archetype, who we discussed in our zombie list. They're a bunch of monsters based on classic movie and folklore monsters, only cute and chibi with a Halloween flair. I never really thought of Jack Frost as a legendary monster though, but he's here. He sticks out visually, since everyone else has roots in horror, and then you have this Christmas guy here. Though maybe he represents the horror of Christmas advertising starting early in October. This version of Jack Frost is a snowman guy, who may or may not be made of anti-melt snow, since he survives near his friends with fire and stays insulated in his winter gear.
Oh, I love him. He's all ready to go out in the snow and play. And look, he's got his mittens, and he's got his hat with the poofle, and he's got his scarf with the doodads at the end, and he's got his little pantalooners. And look, he's even got his ghost satchel to put all of his other important things, and the souls of the damned. He's smiley. His zipper says so.
His effect works as a hand trap, where when your opponent attacks you directly, you can change that monster to face down defense position to stop the attack, and then summon Jack Frost also in face down defense position. It works with the ghost trick playstyle, since they can all set themselves and have field spells that make it where your opponent has to attack directly if all your monsters are set. And then some of them have effects that benefit from other ghost trick monsters being flipped face up, like the Jack Frost that you just set. So Jack Frost is a nifty tool to have in the deck, but with no other ghost trick monsters being relevant on this list, you can just consider him the fun little guy to have around. Number 4, Ghost Beef. Ghost Beef was a centerpiece on that Yu-Gi-Oh! Food monster list we did, which is outdated now since Hungry Burger has gotten its own archetype since we made it. But on that list, we discussed a peculiar trio of pendulum monsters: Hallow Hallow, Mild Turkey, and Ghost Beef. All three are holiday foods who are normal monsters and pendulum monsters, with their pendulum effects letting you roll a die to modify a monster's level or their scale. Hallow Hallow lets you change a monster's level equal to the die roll, Mild Turkey decreases its scale by the roll, and Ghost Beef increases. The effects aren't good since they're based on random chance, but you don't play these cards for the effects, you admire them for their flavor, metaphorically speaking, but they probably also taste delicious. They're themed around the end of the year holidays, with Hallow Hallow clearly being Halloween, Mild Turkey either being Thanksgiving or Christmas, and Ghost Beef explicitly being Christmas. I've always thought Mild Turkey was Thanksgiving, but the theming of its ribbons make me think it might just be another facet of the Christmas meal. It's also bowling, which has nothing to do with Christmas, but 3 strikes in a row in bowling is called a turkey, so they were having fun designing this one. However, Ghost Beef mentions Christmas in its lore, so I've always considered it to be the de facto Christmas representative of the trio. Its lore simply states the ghost of Christmas dinner, which I get is a reference to A Christmas Carol, but does that mean it's the actual ghost of the cow we're using for the Christmas roast, or is it just a ghost who's in charge of providing the dinner? Because if it's the former, I don't think I want it watching us eat.
No, this one makes me sad. His body's all dressed up in tinsel and crap.
No, it's fine. Look how happy it is providing us with meat from its abdomen. It's having a good time. Perhaps it can infinitely produce meat, so you'll never need livestock again.
And he's ready to take his revenge out on you. And he's hungry for meat.
Wait, he's hungry for you?
Meat.
Oh.
Or souls.
Oh. Number 3, Performapal Curry Boble. It's one of the many Currybos, but this one is geared up for Christmas, and it's a Performapal, so you can search it with the variety of archetype-specific cards. Being a Currybo, it fulfills one of their normal purposes of being a hand trap monster that does something to prevent damage, where if your opponent declares a direct attack, you can special summon it, force your opponent to attack it instead, and then gain life points equal to what you would have lost from that battle. The text is pretty unique, where it doesn't give your opponent a chance to redeclare as they normally could when you summon a new monster after an attack is declared. It gives proper directions. It says change the attack target and proceed to damage calculation to get the life point effect. Neat trick, but not particularly useful in the modern game. Maybe if they released it early in Duel Links. It also fulfills the role of being the Kuriboh of a protagonist, belonging to Arc 5's protagonist Yuya in the manga. Though I'm not sure why they went with a Christmas theme for it, since Yuya was a circus guy. I feel like Clown Kuriboh would have worked better, but hey, he's got a nice hat.
It's a little Santa with a little Santa tail.
But Santa doesn't have a tail.
Oh, and it has a little pom-pom on his Santa hat and a little star on his Santa tail. Kuriboh, whatever. He's also ready for bedtime, like the Scrooge. Except he's nice, because all Kuribohs are nice. Don't ruin this for me.
Except for the one from the beginning of the Pyramid of Light movie and the alternate art and Wretched Ghost of the Attic.
I said don't ruin this for me.
The implication is that it's a Christmas ornament, since the name Kuriboh is a reference to bauble, an alternate term for the traditional ornaments. I'd ask why they haven't sold this as a physical product yet, but they at least included it in the calendar of cards released in 2019 and put Kuriboh as the Christmas Eve card, so we're one step away from Christmas Kuriboh merchandise. Number 2. Oh, Token Bomb. I covered these guys in full back on my 5th backstory list, but in summary, there are goblins that go around collecting and potentially eating token monsters for parallels of real life holidays. One of those holidays is the Christmas celebration, where they have token monsters in a feast. The Japanese card name just goes for the straightforward Token Christmas for the name, while the English name gets a little spicy with a parody of the German Christmas tree song, O Tannenbaum.
What's that thing that they're worshipping in the back?
That's either a giant scapegoat or a hypnocorn.
What's a hypnocorn?
Don't worry about it and just go enjoy the hors d'oeuvres.
What are they eating?
That's the giant scapegoat token that they've cooked and are ready to eat, since it's the main course.
What?
Yeah, they actually eat the scapegoat tokens.
Oh my goodness, is that legal?
Questionable.
Is it alive?
Probably.
Who killed it?
They did.
Why?
Because it's Christmas.
Okay. Hey look, some of them can grow hair. That's nice.
Also, for some reason, they censor any of the scapegoats that are being eaten by turning them into Fabergé eggs internationally, but the ones that are not in their mouths planned to be eaten are still scapegoats. I don't get it, but it's a thing they do. On the kids' side of this celebration, we see the card Gift Exchange, which has a reoccurring goblin. He's a disappointed kid who constantly gets the short end of the stick compared to the other goblin kids in every celebration that takes place, whether it's him getting the worst item compared to what the other goblins got, or just something going wrong for him that worked for everyone else. On Gift Exchange, while his friends get all the cool toys for Christmas based on other monster cards, all he gets is a Scrap Kong shirt, and nothing fun. That being said, I'd take a Scrap Kong shirt. I'd take any real-life Scrap archetype merchandise.
They like Madolches and cars, not clothing. Clothing is not a fun gift for children.
While the bad luck continues for the kid, we get a direct follow-up to Gift Exchange on the card Matching Outfits. The kid is now wearing the shirt, despite his disinterest, and he passes by a cool guy, or maybe that's one of his family members, who's also wearing the Scrap Kong shirt, giving him a thumbs up like, yeah, you're also cool, kid. What a great shirt.
He's a cool dude. One day you can have ripped abs like me.
I don't know who this guy is, but the fact that he's attempting to cheer up this kid by showing him that cool guys get the gift that he got makes him a hero in my book. Okay, so we weren't going to do honorable mentions, but after we recorded everything and started to edit, we realized that we forgot live twin Ki-sikil Frost, which is live twin Ki-sikil in her winter costume, which has a whole bunch of Christmas and winter themes everywhere. Like, look at this. She's got the gingerbread man, candy canes, holly, winter jacket, and under that jacket, she's in a snowman shirt with twig arms on it, and her hat is the snowman head, and then on all of her spikes, she's got mini Santa hats, and in the background, she's in the snowman like, what's going on? Along with doing the deal with it face up here. I can't believe we almost missed this one. Let's retroactively say it's number 3, bump everything else down. And what was number 10? Blizzard? Sorry, you're number 11 now. All glory to the live twins. Hey, it's me from even further in the future. We also forgot the Starry Night archetype, which is called the Holy Night archetype in Japanese, Japanese. It's literally based on everything going on in Silent Night. Add that to the whoops pile too. We even discussed Starry Night, Starry Dragon on our retrain list, where we made reference to it being a Christmas monster. So I could make an excuse that we just didn't want to repeat that entry here, but honestly, we just forgot. Here's the part of that video where we explicitly mention all the Christmas stuff, making a whole archetype based on Silent Night, the Christmas song, not the movie series with the garbage day guy.
I like how it's a Christmas.
You know, one of the support cards for them is literally called Starry Night. Well, in Japan, it's Holy Night Nativity.
Yeah, it's got a Christmas Carol vibe going on, which is weird because the original's like, it burns you with flames, like a dragon. It's Dragon Santa. And a butt. Hold on a second.
Hold up.
Looking at that absolute cake.
Starry
I-
Night,
I'm-
big
I'm
ass,
not saying-
clear eyes, clear heart, can't lose.
I'm not saying this with thirst. It looks like there's a human wearing pants. It's not a dragon. It's a human wearing a dragon suit and pants.
Well, there's only one Yu-Gi-Oh card right for this spot. It unambiguously tries to be the main Christmas monster of sorts, so let's give him due credit besides being on the thumbnail for this video. Number 1, Santa Claus.
That's not Santa.
Yeah, it's Santa Claus, says right there on his name.
Where's the robe? Where's the belly? Where's the beard?
Oh, you're thinking of Santa Claus. This is Santa Claus, like what's on your fingers.
Claus.
The Japanese name called him Satan Claus, for both the funny name and because Satan is an anagram of Santa. But you know how Yu-Gi-Oh was with censoring internationally in the past. There was no way that name was making it to English releases. Santa Claus is a kaiju-style monster, meaning you summon it to your opponent's side of the field by tributing one of their monsters. This is a way to get around your opponent's monsters that can't be destroyed or are unaffected by card effects, since you tributing counts as a cost to summon rather than an effect. In other words, it doesn't matter what that monster's effect is on the field, Santa bypasses all of that to take that monster's place. The trade-off is you're generally giving your opponent a big monster that they can still use against you, but it's usually easier to face off against than whatever you got rid of with the kaiju summon. They're named kaijus because the main archetype that does this sort of thing are kaijus, based on the real fictional kaijus. However, while most kaijus have big attack, Santa has big defense, with a bonus effect for the opponent. He lets them draw a card, and there's the Santa aspect of him. He's giving them a gift. First he gives your opponent the gift of himself, and then he gives them a free draw at the end of the turn. Isn't Santa nice? And despite being a demon guy, he's a light monster, showing that he still has some good in him as the Santa Claus name would imply.
Disclaimer, light and dark do not always depict good and evil in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's more of a power that they utilize. Plenty of light monsters are evil and dark monsters are good.
I can't tell if this creature is trying to pretend to be Santa, or if it's just doing its own thing to dress for the holidays. But if it is trying to be Santa, it's funny to imagine it saying something like, okay, some holly, some tinsel, maybe an ornament, and perfect. This is what Santa looks like, right? I'm a mirror image.
Aww. Well, now that you say it that way, I do want to give him a chance.
Great, now take a gift from him.
Is there a toy train?
Just take a gift from the scary Krampus man.
Thank you.
Hey, look at that. He got you some Souls of the Damned this year.
What? That's not really what I asked for.
Just embrace it and act like you like it.
Aww, it's getting kind of hot in here. Oh, actually, I'm pretty good. I'm okay.
So for being the literal embodiment of holiday cheer and just being named Santa, Santa Claus is crowned the top Yu-Gi-Oh! Christmas card. Now, what did you think? Were all these cards worthy of jingling some bells, or were some of them as stale as a fruitcake joke? And what are some of your favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards that feel right for the holidays, whether we discussed them or not? Let us know in the comments. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and we will see you in the next video.
Thanks for watching and happy holidays.